The cadet arena of the Unified Stellar Defense Academy was designed to intimidate even the most disciplined recruits. Suspended above a fractured moon colony, the structure rotated slowly in orbit. Its training grounds shifting between gravity settings, atmospheric densities, and simulated combat environments. For most species, it was a place where pride was broken and rebuilt. Earth had sent only a handful of recruits in this cycle. Most academies treated them as symbolic additions rather than serious contenders. Humans were still considered newcomers in interstellar defense history, a civilization that had only recently stepped beyond its own solar system. Among the cadets, whispers followed them wherever they went. In one of the observation tiers, a group of alien cadets watched the latest Earth recruit step into the central training arena. Her designation in the roster was simple: Lyra. She stood alone in the preparation zone, adjusting her suit straps with steady hands. The suit was standard Academy issue, reinforced with adaptive plating and neural feedback systems. Around her, holographic projections flickered as the arena initialized the simulation phase. The cadets watching from above exchanged amused comments. Earth recruits had a reputation for improvisation rather than refinement. Their techniques were often described as primitive but unpredictable. That unpredictability was usually dismissed as chaos rather than skill. Illyra's opponents for this round entered from the opposite gate. 3 cadets from different worlds, each physically imposing in their own way. One had layered armored plating across his limbs. Another floated slightly above the ground, using gravitational suspension organs. The third carried a training spear that pulsed with energy signatures. They moved with visible confidence. This was not their first victory against an Earth recruit. The arena speakers activated, announcing the start of the simulation. The ground beneath them shifted into a fractured canyon environment, walls rising and collapsing intermittently to test reaction speed and spatial awareness. Illyra did not rush forward. She observed above. One of the alien cadets scoffed. Earth recruits often hesitated at the beginning, analyzing too much instead of engaging. The armored opponent charged first, his heavy steps shaking loose fragments of simulated stone. The suspended cadet followed from above, creating a vertical threat angle. While the spear wielder circled wide, preparing to trap her movement, Illyra shifted her stance slightly. No wasted motion. No visible panic. The armored cadet struck first, swinging a reinforced forearm designed to simulate impact force, equivalent to heavy impact weapons. Illyra stepped to the side at the exact moment of contact. The strike passed so close that dust rippled across her suit. She redirected her weight instead of resisting it. The armored cadet overextended, expecting resistance. He did not receive it in that brief opening. Illyra tapped his elbow joint. Not impact. Nothing dramatic. But the training system registered a critical destabilization. The armored cadet's suit recalibrated, locking his arm for safety correction. His movement faltered for half a second. Half a second was enough. The floating cadet descended sharply, aiming to strike from above. Illyra rotated under the falling trajectory, using the armored cadet as partial cover. The descending attacker collided with the armored cadet instead, both stumbling as their systems attempted to recover balance. Above the arena, murmurs began to spread. Earth recruits were not supposed to create chain disruptions this early. The spear wielder adjusted his approach. He no longer advanced in a simple arc. Instead, he analyzed her movement pattern, trying to anticipate her next position. The spear tip flickered with controlled energy, designed to immobilize rather than injure. Illyra finally moved forward, not fast, controlled. She stepped into the narrowing space between her opponents as if she had already mapped the outcome. The spear wielder struck. The attack was precise. A direct line to her center mass. Illyra tilted her upper body slightly. The spear passed within centimeters. Her hand caught the shaft near its midpoint. The alien cadets, watching from above, leaned forward. No Earth recruit was supposed to grab a powered weapon mid-strike. The spear wielder attempted to retract it, but Illyra did not resist the pull. Instead, she moved with it, rotating her stance in a way that disrupted his leverage. His balance shifted. Forward, she guided the motion rather than stopping. The spear wielder, stumbled Lyra. Released the weapon at the exact moment it lost structural advantage. The floating cadet recovered first, launching another descent attack. This time, the arena sensors increased simulation intensity. Shockwaves rippled through the canyon environment as gravity fluctuations intensified. Lyra looked upward. For the first time, her expression changed slightly. Not fear, not hesitation. Calculation. She stepped onto a fractured rock platform that was already collapsing under simulated instability. As the floating cadet descended again, she pushed off the collapsing surface. Her movement was not upward in a traditional sense. It was angled. Redirected through collapsing terrain and shifting gravity, the alien cadets above struggled to track her motion. She did not evade the attack. She intercepted its timing as the floating cadet descended. Lyra met him mid-motion. Not with force, but with alignment. Her shoulder contacted his chest, played at the exact point where his gravitational stabilizers recalculated. A disruption pulse echoed through the suit systems. Floating cadet lost altitude control and crashed into the fractured ground below. Silence spread across the observation tier. The armored cadet attempted to re-engage, but Lyra was already moving again. She did not chase. She repositioned. Every movement was economical. Every step reduced unnecessary exposure. The spear wielder recovered his weapon and attempted a coordinated strike with the armored cadet. This time, they adjusted tactics. No longer separate attacks. A synchronized approach designed to corner her. The canyon simulation shifted again. Narrower pathways formed. Vertical cliffs closed in. Lyra was guided toward a confined space. The alien cadets watching nodded slightly. Now she would be forced into direct confrontation. No more room for evasive improvisation. The armored cadet advanced first, blocking retreat. The spear wielder followed, sealing the opposite side. They were confident now. The trap was complete. Lyra stopped moving. For the first time, she stood still. Above. One cadet whispered that Earth's recruits often froze under pressure when improvisation failed. The arena lighting dimmed slightly as simulation parameters peaked. Dust particles drifted in slow motion due to altered gravity. Fields. Lyra raised her head. She did not look at either opponent. She looked at the space between. Then she moved. Not toward either cadet. Into the structural weakness of the terrain itself. Her foot struck a precise fracture point in the canyon floor. Not with brute force, but with targeted impact aligned with resonance feedback patterns. Embedded in the simulation structure, the ground responded. A controlled structural collapse initiated beneath both opponents. The armored cadet attempted to stabilize, but his systems misread the terrain shift. The spear wielder reacted too late to reposition. Lyra had already moved out of the collapse. Radius. The canyon floor split, not in destruction, but in a directed separation line that ran cleanly through the arena space. The simulation registered a full environmental breach condition, forcing automatic reset protocols for safety. Containment. The arena halted. Gravity stabilized. The canyon reformed, but the engagement was already over. Lyra stood alone in the center of the reset field above. Silence held for several seconds. Then the murmurs returned. But no longer with amusement. Confusion replaced it. Then something closer to disbelief. An Earth's recruit had not simply defeated 3 opponents. She had altered the engagement environment itself in a controlled simulation designed to prevent structural exploitation. In the lower arena, the 3 cadets reappeared in recovery positions. Their suits recalibrated, displaying loss conditions. Lyra remained still, awaiting acknowledgement. The instructor presence activated in the arena holograph, projecting a neutral tone. Performance review initiated. Earth Cadet Lyra demonstrated adaptive terrain exploitation, multi-opponent neutralization efficiency, and high-level environmental synchronization. A pause followed above. The watching cadets leaned closer, waiting for disapproval or correction. Instead, the system continued. Recommendation classification elevated. Silence deepened. One of the alien cadets finally spoke, voice uncertain. Earth recruits were not supposed to reach recommendation elevation in early simulation cycles. Another responded quietly that the engagement data did not match expected human performance profiles. Down in the arena, Alira exhaled slowly. As if the outcome had been anticipated from the beginning, she did not celebrate. She did not react outwardly. She simply waited for the next assignment. The arena lights brightened again, signaling transition to next simulation phase. But the atmosphere had changed. What had been mockery before had shifted into careful attention, because somewhere in the structured certainty of the academy, a single Earth recruit had demonstrated something the observers were not prepared to categorize easily. Not raw strength, not luck, precision under pressure. That bent the rules of expectation itself. And, in the quiet aftermath of the split arena, the assumption that humans were only newcomers began to fracture.